97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Josh Hinnick.
Well, for a Hump Day Wednesday, Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman spoke for over 30 minutes, and half of the time, they just were running in circles. But we will talk about what was pertinent from their conversations today. Josh Hinnick here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle. We'll have Dave Weinberg joining us coming up in less than 20 minutes. He's been to plenty of these Eagles press conferences, so we'll get his takes on some of what the Eagles had to say today. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Of course, Mike Gill asked the poll question earlier. How are you feeling after the press conference? And I think that is the key part in that question, after. Because going into the press conference, we all had questions, right? And I don't think all of our questions were answered. But there was a common thread through the entire presser today. And it was what the reason, it started with Nick Sirianni answering why they got rid of Brian Johnson, why they moved on from him. And you're going to hear him say it twice in this answer. The key thread for the entire Nick Sirianni side of the press conference.
So it's about coming up with fresh ideas and doing some things different. And that's exactly where we are right now. And Brian being, at that position, unfortunately, he's the one that is leaving at this particular time. But I can't tell you how much I appreciate him as a coach. We've had a lot of success here in the past 3 years, and Brian's contributed a lot to that. But like I said, it's now about bringing in fresh ideas.
Fresh ideas. You heard Sirianni say that multiple times in the press conference. And I thought it was very interesting that they use those specific words, because Sirianni likes to have these isms and these phrases, these ideas he hangs on to. So apparently for 2024, it's fresh ideas for the offseason. And it has to make you wonder two things coming out of the press conference. One, what was Brian Johnson not bringing to the table that someone else could? Now, I know there's a literal answer for that, but let me ask that in a non-literal sense. Let me just put it out there for you guys to chew on for a moment. What is it that a guy who started college football games at the highest level, by the way, beat Alabama in a bowl game, was a coordinator at Florida and Houston, was Dak Prescott's quarterback coach in Mississippi State, and had worked as your quarterback coach in Philadelphia for the past 2 years before becoming offense coordinator? What did he not bring to the table? Or, as Sirianni suggested, was Brian Johnson just the scapegoat so Nick Sirianni doesn't himself get in trouble with his job? Well, the problem is that all these questions we have about the offense may be completely overshadowed in the long run, because whoever they hire as offensive coordinator, they're going to paint it well. They're going to put a nice hat on it. They're going to make it look and sound probably a better gig or a better hire than it already is. Now, I personally was intrigued when they brought up the name Cliff Kingsbury last night for two reasons. One, many Eagles reporters have brought up the fact that the Eagles wanted to hire Lincoln Riley once upon a time, and it didn't work out. So the Eagles organization already has a fascination with what the former Oklahoma, now USC head coach does offensively. And we know their desire, as Jeffrey Lurie says, to be 5 years ahead. 5 years ahead of being 5 years ahead. He always wants to be ahead of the curve. That kind of concept. Cliff Kingsbury was coaching in the NFL and then went back to college. So are we treating Lincoln Riley like people treat Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan? You have a cup of coffee with the guy and you might get a job. Is that what we're talking about here? I'm not saying Cliff Kingsbury can't coach, but there's an obvious connection between the Eagles' desire for Lincoln Riley and Cliff Kingsbury already coaching there. It's no small thing. The other side of it is, do you look at Kingsbury and say, this guy coached Pat Mahomes in college, Kyler Murray in the NFL, what can he bring to Jalen Hurts? That side of the conversation is much more interesting to me. Because when you think about what Kingsbury did with two different quarterbacks who have a level of athleticism that is uncommon, what can he bring to Jalen Hurts that Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni cannot? Because Nick Sirianni indirectly is admitting that he is not going to be calling the offense all the time. As he calls it, he is the head coach of the football team. When he was asked, and I'm rephrasing the question in a more blunt manner, Nick, as head coach, what do you even do?
I'll sit more into defensive meetings at times, maybe, right? Instead of always being in an offensive meeting, maybe I go to a defensive meeting here and there. But my job is to be the head coach of the team, not the head coach of the offense, not the head coach of the defense, not the head coach of the special teams, but be the head coach of the football team. And so that's building the culture. That's making sure the culture's working, with our 5 core values.
So as part of that culture, being the CEO of the football team, not calling the plays on offense or defense, what does that mean for the future of the defense? Well, Adam Schefter broke the news during the Eagles press conference, which was 30 minutes late, by the way, and they never gave a real answer for why they were late. We were sitting here, Mike Gill and I in the studio, looking at each other like, are they going to start this press conference or not? A couple of times during the 2:00 hour. They finally did after 3:00. And Adam Schefter puts the news out there that Vic Fangio and the Dolphins are having a divorce. And the reasoning is because Fangio wants to be closer to his family in Pennsylvania. And Fangio had already worked as a consultant for the Eagles last season. Mike Garafolo from NFL Network on the connection between the Eagles and Fangio.
Vic Fangio did wind up down there in Miami, but it always seemed off with regard to the fact that the Eagles wanted Fangio and Fangio seemed to want the Eagles. So that seems to be where this is headed. Live right now, Sirianni asked about Vic Fangio at his press conference. It says we've got a lot of names that we're going through, but this is certainly one that is going to intrigue Philadelphia. They are huge Vic Fangio fans, and he's fans of them.
Interesting way he described that. He said, listen, we know he ended up in Miami, but there was always this interest between the Eagles and Vic Fangio. And we know that in the Jeffrey Lurie era, there has been a level of success with the young offensive-minded head coach being paired with the more veteran or older, however you want to paint the picture, defensive coordinator. Remember, Jim Johnson was much older than Andy Reid during their partnership in Philadelphia in the early 2000s. Jim Schwartz was basically hired before Doug Peterson was in 2016. And then you look at even Jonathan Gannon. The Eagles wanted Jonathan Gannon as the DC before Sirianni got to really pick anybody necessarily. So there is a history of the Eagles wanting to bring in a guy, a defensive coordinator. Now, Gannon was more of the boy wonder, so he's a little different. But Fangio fits the mold because he checks 2 boxes. One, he's the veteran defensive coordinator who's been a head coach or has the ability to be a head coach, and he can walk into a room, command the room, and basically run the defense. And Nick Sirianni doesn't have to sit in the meetings like as he describes it. Number two, Fangio is a guy that is the style of defense they wanted to run all along. Remember, John Gannon ran his version, I should say, of the Fangio defense. Gannon had worked for years under two different coaches that were not Vic Fangio. Remember, Gannon worked with Mike Zimmerman in Minnesota, and he worked with Matt Eberflus in Indianapolis. So he ran a version of the Fangio defense. This past year, you brought in Sean Desai. Sean Desai worked under Vic Fangio, but he also worked under Chuck Pagano, and he also worked with Pete Carroll. So he brought his interpretation of the Fangio defense to Philadelphia. Well, now, instead of running the Fangio system, it's just Vic Fangio running his defense. And you could argue that Fangio did a good job in Miami despite how that season ended, because by the end of the year, it was a mash unit. Realistically, the only defensive coordinator who did a better job with an injured team last year was Jim Schwartz. And even he got lit up in the postseason by the Texans. Like Fangio basically got lit up by the Chiefs. I guarantee you, if it wasn't like 0 degrees outside in Kansas City in that game, the Chiefs might have scored more points on Fangio's defense. But both those defenses were extremely injured and banged up going in. So some people might ask, why are the Dolphins and Fangio divorcing? Is it just because Fangio wants to be closer to his family in Philadelphia? Mike Garafolo from NFL Network explains.
Yeah, it was mutual in the sense that you're right, Ian. Those are two different and distinct personalities in Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio. I was watching the Dolphins in-season Hard Knocks. Did we even see Vic Fangio? I think we saw every other coach on the coaching staff. I don't know if we saw any peeks behind the scenes at Vic Fangio or him interacting with any of the coaches or anything like that.
It's an interesting point he brings up, the relationship between those two coaches. It has to make you wonder, are the Eagles benefiting from a relationship that was never meant to be? Fangio and the Dolphins are getting a divorce. Now, Fangio can say, look, I want to be that close to my family, but maybe there was something going on there. We know Fangio and the Eagles organization like each other. Maybe there was a legitimate disconnect between him and McDaniel. McDaniel's an odd dude anyway. Okay, let's be realistic. He is someone who's probably not going to get along with everybody. And not everyone is going to get along with him. Fangio is a guy who is set in his ways. So maybe the Eagles fit him better than the Dolphins do. Now, is that a guarantee that he's going to work here? No. But I think that you saw in Miami with all the injuries they had. Jalen Ramsey missed half the year. Xavier Howard, the other corner, missed a part of the year. The end of the year with no Bradley Chubb. Half their pass rush was injured. I mean, you look through their roster, some of the guys who are playing at the end of the year, nobody even knows who these guys are. So Fangio, if he's just a defensive coordinator and he has better talent in Philadelphia, and we know Howie Roseman is going to make those adjustments this offseason, it'll be interesting to see how much better could the defense be, because guess what? Fangio, with even the injuries that the Dolphins had, his defense allowed less points per game than the Eagles' defense. So you have to wonder, a guy who had a defense that allowed less points per game, also had the 10th fewest total yards allowed last year, with a banged up roster, if the Eagles can retool the roster this offseason, maybe that does fix the defense. We'll talk with Dave Weinberg coming on next about it. Of course, he's covered a lot of eras of Eagles football. Ray Rhodes, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson. He's seen a lot of coaching changes in Philadelphia. We'll ask him his thoughts on this. Plus, your text coming up a little bit later this hour. 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City will get to you and more coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Wednesday night.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Joel into the lane, gets around Jokic, and he laid it up and good. He pulled the Euro on Jokic.
It's Sixers Pacers tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trademan can get you released. Matt Black Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Black Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SAVE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SAVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SAVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible, so Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
At the Home Depot, we have savings on laundry sets that fit your lifestyle. Like Whirlpool Laundry with a 2-in-1 removable agitator that allows you to customize any load. Simply remove the agitator to fit bulky items or keep it in to help break down dirt and grime. And with flexible capacity, you can finish more loads in less time. Final days to get up to $450 off select laundry sets from top brands like Whirlpool. At the Home Depot, how doers get more done. Pricing valid January 4th through the 24th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Open enrollment is happening right now, New Jersey. Join the many residents who are getting quality, affordable health coverage through Get Covered New Jersey. If you need health insurance, this is the time to enroll. Get Covered New Jersey offers increased plan choices and more savings than ever. 9 in 10 people get financial help for plans that include preventive care, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. And many pay $10 a month or less. Find your plan at getcovered.nj.gov.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's gotta be
Matt Blatt Kia.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Coach comes to me and tells me kind of what he's thinking. No different than when he decided to give Shane the play calling duty. And he said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I trust him with the coaching staff. That's his responsibility, just like he trusts me with my front office staff. And that's how we're structured here. That's how the relationship works.
It might be how the relationship works going to hire Roseman, but is the hiring of Vic Fangio maybe somebody else's decision because they don't trust Sirianni to make some of these decisions moving forward? A man who's seen many iterations of the Eagles change over the years is Dave Weinberg. He's back for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
Pretty good. So how much of the 30-plus minutes of the Eagles presser do you think was gibberish, and how much do you think was actually legitimate, them saying what they said?
I don't know, 25 gibberish, 5 real, I guess, which is the case, that's just generally the case with all these kind of press conferences. You know, they just kind of like babble about much ado about nothing, unfortunately.
Do you actually believe when Howie Roseman says it was Nick Sirianni's decision to bench Desai and put Patricia in the DC calling job?
No. I don't think he. No, I think that was a front office decision. I think I was above Nick's pay grade. Yeah, I think that was a front office move to. It was a panic move, but that was the front office just trying to do something desperate to try and save the season, I guess.
So with the front office decision, is that why now Vic Fangio is the favorite to become the Eagles' next defensive coordinator? Because we know he already was there last year.
Right. Why wasn't he here this year? I'm just curious.
Well, basically, the way Tom Pelissero explained it from NFL Network is basically Fangio got tired of waiting around to see if Gannon was going to leave or not. And when Gannon said, I'm staying, Fangio accepted the job in Miami. And then he was already in Miami with the job in hand when Gannon went out the back door and joined the Cardinals as their head coach.
Okay, I got you. All right. Yeah, I would say this is probably a front office move too. They don't want. I would equate it to like Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz, where Schwartz was actually hired before Doug was. I think they made the decision to bring in a veteran, and the correct decision to bring in a veteran defensive mind to take some of the pressure off of Sirianni, let him run the defense. Sirianni takes care of the offense, I guess, or whoever the new offensive coordinator is going to be, if you want to believe that. And I kind of think this was a Roseman move and a Lurie move.
Well, it goes back to even, Jim Johnson was much older than Andy Reid. There's a long history of this organization liking the older defensive veteran mind to run that side of the ball while the younger offensive guy kind of refocuses his attention.
Oh yeah, they've always done that. Bud Carson was, back in the day, they always seemed to like Billy Davis, I guess, was the exception with Chip Kelly. And then Andy kind of panicked a little bit and brought Juan Castillo in charge for a little while. That didn't work out too well.
No.
So it's and that's kind of, I guess that's generally the way it's done most of around the NFL, where if you have an offensive minded coach, you hire a defensive guy. If you hire a defensive minded coach, you got an offensive guy to handle the offense. So it's I think they kind of like share the duties more or less. split the responsibilities. I guess is the best way.
Now, the difference, though, is that Andy and Doug called the offenses. Nick Sirianni claims that he doesn't call offense. He doesn't call plays. He is the head football coach of the team as a whole. That he's like a CEO guy.
And what does he do?
Well, it's funny you said that because Nick Sirianni says he focuses on the whole team and the culture of the team. So it's
and how did that go at the end of the year?
Well, that's a great question because everyone keeps asking, well, if that's your job, how did you lose all these games at the end of the year?
Right. If that's his job and that's his responsibility, he failed miserably at the end.
So if he failed miserably, why is he still here?
I would love to know the answer. I don't. I know Howie said something about past success. And
Well, I'll play that. Howie Roseman's explanation when he was asked why Nick Sirianni is still head coach was this.
That is hard to do in the National Football League. That is hard to find a head coach in this league who has that record of success. I think we were 33-11 up until that point with Nick. We made the playoffs 3 straight years again. Not okay finishing 1-6. So I'm not sitting up here saying that, but it is hard to find somebody who can do those sort of things.
He claims it's hard to find people like Nick Sirianni. Is that true?
How did that work out with Doug Peterson? Why didn't he get that same sort of courtesy?
Well, and that's why, to me, Dave, this is all prearranged talking points. It's like a politician getting his talking points before he goes out on stage, right? It's the like they were over 30 minutes late for their own press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all go ahead.
No, they knew what they were going to be asked, and they were taking the time to try and formulate answers that might placate a few people. But I don't think they answered anything, honestly. I don't know why Nick Sirianni is still the head football coach.
Well, I know why, because he is able to be an extension of what the front office wants.
Meaning a yes man?
He's a yes man who is goody. He's good enough at his job to be able to be a football coach who the players seem to like and be a yes man for the front office. He's placating both ends of the spectrum.
yeah, I guess. I mean, that's a game you got to play, I guess, if you want to be employed. And I don't get it. I mean, I admit in the beginning, when the season first ended, I kind of thought that maybe he deserved another year based on last year. But just the way everything fell apart, Josh, it was terrible. And he had no answers, no solutions, nothing. He did nothing to correct the problem. It got worse and worse week after week, hit the bottom in the playoffs. I just don't know how you can bring somebody back like that. If that's your answer to build culture, then you didn't do your job.
Well, he's the Manchurian candidate then, right?
Never saw the movie, but go ahead.
Oh, you never saw the movie? What is wrong with you, Dave? Come on, man.
You know what? I never saw The Godfather either, believe it or not.
Oh man.
I know. I get flack all the time on that kind of stuff.
Well,
never saw Goodfellas.
Well, so here's the thing. So
okay,
the Manchurian candidate, basically, the concept is that it's a guy who ran for office who basically says what someone else tells him to say all the time, you know. And there was a book about it. There's been like I think 2 different movies about it. I know the one version of the movie, Denzel Washington plays a reporter who exposes the whole thing. Okay. So, but like basically the concept is that like you have somebody who says and does everything he's told. That he doesn't actually, like, you know, a politician. It would be like if, you know, the president got up on stage and didn't have his own ideas or thoughts. He just read or said what someone else wants him to say, kind of thing.
I got you. Okay. All right.
So like, you know, to me, the way you're describing it, that's what Nick Sirianni is. He is the Manchurian head coach. He is the parrot, this mouthpiece of the Eagles organization.
Right. He does the cute little things, like he talks about rock, paper, scissors and watering the flowers. And then he, you know, talks back to opposing fans and yells at referees. And the fans are like, oh, he's one of us. And he's a Philly guy, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to actually coaching and building the culture, I just don't see it.
Dave Weinberg join us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See our extra point columns with Dave are over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, I also want to ask you, because you've heard and seen a lot of these Howie Roseman press conferences.
Yeah.
Howie Roseman named 3 players the entire press conference. Only 3. Jalen Hurts, because his name was brought up to him and he repeated it back. Nakobe Dean multiple times, and Zach Cunningham. Do we read anything into the fact that those are the only 3 players who got mentioned during an entire 30-plus minute presser?
That's really bizarre. No A.J. Brown. No Devontae
No A.J.
Smith,
Brown. Nope. No Devon Smith.
Lane
No.
Johnson. Jason
Nope.
Kelsey.
Nope.
Wow. That's bizarre to me. Zach Cunningham, really? That's who they brought up for defense?
Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham.
So-
Well, because yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Explain it to me.
No, I was saying it was Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham were part of Howie's answer about retooling the defense, and Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts is going to have to be brought up in a press conference. Like
Right.
this.
I didn't hear the part about what did he say about retooling the defense? Those guys are the solutions.
Well, he was basically explaining his theory is that they have young players in place, he believes. And let me pull up he basically was explaining that they still believe in Nakobe Dean and what they can do at linebacker. Here's what he said.
Our 2 Super Bowl teams over the last 6 years, the linebacker play was good, from those guys. And I think, if anything, it's my belief in the players that we have, the young players that we have. I have a lot of belief, and I know Coach does as well, in Nakobe Dean. I believe in the player. I believe in the person. We lost 2 linebackers at that spot, 2 good players from our Super Bowl team. And we had Nakobe Wade in the wings. We drafted him for that role.
Okay, where does Zach Cunningham come in?
Well, then he brings up Cunningham a little bit later because he says that he filled a specific role at linebacker.
Felt like we'd have the ability to get an off-ball linebacker, a will linebacker who can run and hit. And honestly, when you watch the tape, Zach Cunningham had a good year. He really did, and he had a mentality that we like from that position. Of course, we missed some of the guys that left as free agents, missed some of the guys on and off the field that we had strong relationships with.
Yeah,
that's
did.
Howie's explanation.
You missed T.J. Edwards. You missed Kaiser White. You missed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You missed Marcus Epps. Yeah, you did, and that's on you.
But so then the question gets back to, if Vic Fangio is coming back, right? Was there maybe an indirect conversation already between Fangio and Howie about, I like Nakobe Dean, I like Zach Cunningham, those are guys that we're going to keep. It was, remember years ago when Jim Schwartz would go into Howie's office and basically tell him what he wanted, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine there were some conversations there. If he, and I can understand Nakobe Dean, definitely. Zach Cunningham, I'm not so sure about. And, there's no mention of James Bradbury, huh? No mention.
No Bradbury, no
Slay. Wow.
No Ben Van Sumeren. Remember how much we heard about how much they loved him months ago? No Nicholas Morrow. No. Well, we know Shaq Leonard's not coming back. I mean, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But the point is that you have a 30-plus minute press conference about the team and about the future and the offseason, and there's only 3 players to get mentioned the entire time. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, that's very bizarre. I agree with you there. I mean, nothing about Kelsey's service to the team, or nothing about Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham. I mean, that's really bizarre.
I don't
mind you naming 3 players, but those 3, I mean, Hurts, of course, but Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham were the only other 2.
Well, what made it worse is that, if I'm a player, right, if I'm a free agent, they have I believe 16, 17 free agents. Mm-hmm. I forget the exact number. I wrote the article a week or 2 ago in 97.3 ESPN.com, but they have all these free agents, Dave, and it's one free agent got mentioned at the end of season presser. Right. Zach Cunningham. There's got to be a part of these guys looking around being what about me? Anybody care about me?
That's true. Yeah, good point. I agree.
It's just, this organization is such a they really are a paradox wrapped up in a riddle. I mean, it's just it's so wild to me.
Yeah. Yep. It's always been that way, unfortunately. It probably always will be.
A couple more for you, Dave, before I let you go.
Sure.
Any thoughts on the Eagles interviewing Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator?
I think he'd be a good choice. I mean, I was listening to you on the way in here, and the fact that he has worked with some mobile quarterbacks and some, versatile quarterbacks in the past, I think that bodes well. And you and I have talked in the past that, what the heck's the guy's name from Holy Spirit? Greg.
Greg Roman.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I was texting with Greg earlier this week, and I just expressed that I thought he would be a great fit, and he kind of thanked me. And if you want a guy who's had some experience with working with guys like Jalen Hurts' style of play, and Cliff Kingsbury fits that mold, Greg Roman fits that role. There's a couple other guys. I think Byron Leftwich would be a good choice too, but. I mean, that's all one website. They listed like 34 potential candidates. I mean, why don't you just, list everybody possible? But, and curiously, Greg Roman was not on the list, which kind of baffled me. But
I don't understand it, Dave. It's like, what on earth? Like, and listen, I don't know Greg personally, so I'm not sitting here like shilling for my buddy here, okay?
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand if you made Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor all better, and you coached Lamar Jackson to an MVP season, how do you not have a job?
Yeah, I mean, he was for a while. He was a candidate for a head coaching job, and you know how this league works. You're hot for a while, and then you cool off, and then the next hot thing comes along, and all of a sudden you're out of the conversation. So now you got to lobby for offensive coordinator jobs or what have you, position coach. I don't understand it. I thought Greg should have been a head coach years ago, 5 years ago, what have you. And he's certainly better than 80% of the offensive coordinators out there. I'm baffled. I'm as puzzled as you by it. I don't understand.
I mean, what I think is funny is there are two men right now who are not, as far as I know, getting any major interviews, who both have had success in the NFL. Greg Roman and Eric Bieniemy. Both guys are like persona non grata right now.
And I throw Leftwich in there too. I don't understand why he was out of the league this year. Do you know? Because I don't.
The Leftwich thing is weird because, I talk to Rob Motti each week, and he's down there in Tampa, and he was telling me, he was like, the whole situation was very oddly handled because, apparently when Arians left and Bowles got like the head coaching job in Tampa, that like it was supposed to be either Bowles or Leftwich, and the original plan is for Leftwich to stay on, but apparently there was a huge disconnect between him and Bowles at the end there.
All right.
And that's why they brought in the other guy, Canales. And now you can argue Canales did a great job this year in Tampa, considering Tampa was literally 3 players and nobody else on that team. But still, it's like, you mentioned Leftwich. Like, what happened to him? Like, you're telling me that a guy who played quarterback in the NFL used to be a coordinator. He can't even be a quarterback coach somewhere, or maybe, he went to Marshall. Why doesn't Marshall call and be like, hey, come be our offensive coordinator,
Yeah, I mean, maybe he had, demands that weren't met or something. I don't know. Maybe he was thinking of bigger pictures than that. I'm not sure, but I just find it stunning to me that he wasn't anywhere this season. I just don't get that at all.
Well, it's starting to look like the Eric Bieniemy won't be anywhere either, the way things are trending right now.
That's
I mean,
true.
the Falcons might as well call you and me. They're interviewing everybody and their cousin down there for a job. It's absolutely like they're interviewing so many people. Jim Harbaugh pulled his name out, being like, you guys are interviewing so many people. I don't even want to be a part of your process anymore.
Yeah, you can throw Deuce Staley in there too, for that matter. I don't get what's happening to him either.
I feel like Deuce falls into the category of Greg Roman, where it's like, as you said, he's not hot anymore. So all of a sudden, it's like car models from year to year, right? It's like what was hot in like 1990. What was it? The Ford Probe in the late 80s, early 90s was like the hot car for a while. And then it was like the Chevy Cavalier. And then like 5 years later, like nobody wanted either one in their driveway. I feel like it's the same thing with these guys. They're treating people like car models. Like, well, that was the last generation. I want the next generation car model.
Right. Yeah. It's a league of what have you done lately? And if you don't get your opportunity right now, chances are you're not going to get it, unfortunately.
I mean, you could only hope that the pendulum eventually swings back for some of these guys, but you never know.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
He's Dave Weinberg. Weinberg Wednesday, extra point columns at 973ESPN.com, at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. And if nothing else, Dave, you get to see Isaiah Pacheco play at least one more game in the postseason after he was a key part of the Chiefs winning this past weekend.
Yeah, that was just an awesome performance by him. I was really impressed. Very, very proud of the kid. He's overcome a lot to get where he is, and he's really making the most of his opportunities. And good luck to him. I don't think it's going to work on Sunday, but you never know.
So what is your Super Bowl matchup? Ravens and who?
Ravens and 49ers. Although I think the Lions will give them all they want. I think that'll be a really close game.
Yeah, I feel like both games are going to be close. I mean, my preseason pick was 49ers Ravens, but I know I'm supposed to root for my preseason pick, Dave.
Sure.
But there's a part of me that would love to see the Lions there.
Me too. Absolutely.
Dan Campbell on the big stage. You know what I mean?
I would love that. I would love that.
I mean, you've been to Super Bowl Media Day. Can you imagine Dan Campbell at Media Day?
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Dave, always appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you coming to me from wherever you're at. I mean, at least
I am at my grandson's basketball practice.
Okay, so you're in some you're like in some random side room at the rec center.
That is correct.
Well, I'll let you give whoever's office that is back to them. So, but I appreciate you jumping on.
Oh, thank you, Josh. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Dave Weinberg joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Can you imagine Dan Campbell at Super Bowl Media Day? Like all the antics that go along with that. And then Dan Campbell's up there in his tight t-shirt and the veins popping out of his neck with his hat bent perfectly around the brim on top of his head with his scruff voice answering questions. I mean, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that circus. No offense to Kyle Shanahan. That dude is not the most interesting guy when he speaks. Listening to Kyle Shanahan speak will put you to sleep sometimes. I'm just being honest. That dude is not the most, the way he answers questions, it's almost like he's offended you're asking questions sometimes. It always will drive me nuts that Shanahan is the closest thing we have left to Bill Belichick at this point. There's never going to be a Bill Belichick again when he eventually retires. But Shanahan basically is the closest thing we get. I don't know. Is it because his father was a coach as well, and he took maybe some of his father's mannerisms and isms with him? Maybe. But I don't remember Mike Shanahan being so dull in his press conferences. But then again, it's not like I can recall a Mike Shanahan press conference. So, maybe that has something to do with it. All right, coming up the other side, George from Summers Point, Jeff from Ocean City. I'll get to you as well as Cole from LBI, all you guys and more. Josh Hennick here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Tonight on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA basketball, SEC rivals tussle from Tuscaloosa as the Alabama Crimson Tide hosts the Auburn Tigers. Hi, this is Kyle Yeomans. Join Doug Gottlieb and me for a battle atop the SEC. It's Alabama and Auburn. If it's NCAA basketball, it's right here.
The college basketball season continues on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
It's a new year everywhere, but at Bennett Chevrolet, some things don't change because there's still no beating Bennett. That's right. Bennett Chevy kicks off 2024 just like every other year with the best deals anywhere on new and pre-owned vehicles. You still pay what our GM supplier employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, you keep all the rebates. Unlike many dealers that give you either or, Bennett gives you both. The GM supplier employee price price plus all the rebates. And you save even more with Bennett's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Get an astounding $8,000 minimum for any old clunker towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $8,000 for total junk. So imagine how much Bennett pays for a good trade. And Bennett still offers the best buying experience in the business, with a sales team paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Imagine that. Salespeople with your best interest in mind. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. Reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code MUSCLE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text MUSCLE to 511-511. Text MUSCLE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. You're certified GAFE contractors. Champion Dutch Exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first.
With Liberty Mutual, you can customize and save hundreds on your car insurance. But what to buy with those savings? Yep, I bought a sound effects machine.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, my parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and... Ha! Found you. The heck? How? You left Find My tablet on. This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 20th, new customers can get started with 200 megabit internet for $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, save $480 over Verizon 5G Home Internet Plus in your first year. Switch today. Requires paperless plan and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rate supply. Actual speeds vary. Converts Xfinity Connect More 200 1-year promo rate to Verizon 5G Home Plus regular rate.
Hey everyone, gather round.
It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you miss year-end pricing? Not if you get to Matt Blatt Nissan. Year-end savings are extended. That means you can buy a brand new Nissan with $299 down and just $299 per month. That's less than a week of groceries.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Brand new 2024 Nissan Versa S for under 20 grand. And you can own it for just $299 per month. This is not a lease, program, or used car. Plus, AJ the Trade Man wants to buy your vehicle today. So you can drive your new Nissan, even with 0 down and 0% financing on every new Rogue or Frontier in stock, but only at MattBlattNissan.com. Great qualifications exist with approved credit. $2,778 per thousand finance. 2023 Nissan Rogues and Frontiers. Not all will qualify. Go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. VIN RL 835598. Versa S MSRP 19465. 75 months at 5.64%. Expires 2/4/24. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We got some breaking NFL news. You heard me mention about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago to Dave Weinberg that Jim Harbaugh pulled his name out of the Atlanta Falcons coaching search. Well, now we know why. It's because Jim Harbaugh will be joining the Los Angeles Chargers as their next head coach. He played 2 seasons with the Chargers as their quarterback years ago. I had predicted this a couple of weeks ago, and I've been pretty consistent about this here on 97.3 ESPN. You know, I remember Andy McNamara joined me once about this. I talked about this multiple times. To me, I always looked at Harbaugh going to the Chargers as a perfect fit because of, that organization needed an adult to walk in the room and take control of things. And so, you see the fact that, that's an organization that's in, disarray because of the ownership and the family, and nobody can agree in the family what to do. Harbaugh is the kind of guy who's got the cachet and the personality and the recognition to walk in the room and be like, no, just no, we're not doing this garbage. Keep your business affairs out of the football operations. Maybe Greg Roman goes with him out to Los Angeles. Maybe that's coming next. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh will be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Remember, he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl over a decade ago, won a national championship this year, and now he is going to be the head coach of the Chargers. Text board 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City says, today was a productive step forward for the Eagles, but we need some free agents and a strong draft. I mean, it was productive in the fact that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman finally answered questions and weren't hiding behind we had all these exit interviews to get through. And let's delay the press conference by 30 minutes because we can. Garbage. Free agents, look, Howie Roseman's always been good at manipulating the cap, working the free agent market, making trades. I'm not worried about that. The draft is interesting because what is the real priority for this team? Is it linebacker? Is it secondary? Is it finding a replacement on the offensive line if Kelsey is going to retire? Right? If Jurgens moves to center, do you draft a right guard? Are you trying to draft a tight end, for example, at some point? Are you trying to beef up the defensive end position with some young guys? So the draft is going to be very interesting, Jeff, in Ocean City. George from Summers Point says, hey, Josh, the Eagles' current coaching situation, it looks like they are going to bring in a coordinator to run the offense, another run the defense. In that situation, Sirianni becomes basically just the game manager. It would seem most NFL teams have a head coach that can run the offense or the defense. Will this arrangement work for the Eagles, or is this the way for Sirianni to be out the door next season? I think it's both. I think that this is the model that the Eagles are currently happy with and that Sirianni seems to work the best under. I think it's also an opportunity for the organization to say, look, if it doesn't work out next year, that they have an easy opt out of the situation. You know, if you hire Fangio and Kingsbury as your coordinators, you can easily go into the regular season and say, look, if Sirianni doesn't work out, if this team goes 1-5, 2-6 to start the year, you could easily turn to Kingsbury and Fangio and make them the head coach moving forward. I think it's both. The anonymous text in and says, Nick Sirianni flies up and down the sidelines real nice when they're winning. Oh, my goodness. Cole from LBI says, Deuce Staley, which is hired by the Browns as running back coach, I believe. Jets were interested in him. We brought up Deuce, though, Cole from LBI, as an offensive coordinator, not a running back coach. It's this strange... Look, I'm going to put it this way before we go. We don't know how these interviews go. I don't know what Deuce Staley, Eric Bieniemy, and Greg Roman are like when the cameras are not on. I just tend to think they all have good resumes. I'm Josh Henning. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow.
Hey, Frank, looks like business is booming. What are all those tabs you have open on your computer?
Oh, hey. Well, this one is for my SEO company. This one is for my website company. This one is for my CRM. This is for invoicing and estimates. This one does email, and this one does billing.
Geez, that sounds tricky to manage.
It's clunky, but I need all this to run my business. Wait, you run your own business, and you're even busier than I am. Don't you have all this stuff, too?
I do, but I get it all on one screen with the Town Square Business Management Platform.
What's that?
The Town Square Business Management Platform is an all-in-one tool that helps me grow and run my business. It combines website, billing, and scheduling into one program.
That sounds simpler than juggling all the tools I have now, but you still need someone else to help you find new business, right?
Nope. They have powerful digital advertising built into the platform as well, which helps me keep my calendar full. You can get a demo of the product for free. Check out their website. See if it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Town Square Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.